We've spoken a lot about contracts and recruitment and things like that this morning, Gary. Obviously, this little mini transfer window is open at the moment. A lot of discussion as ever about Manchester United. Firstly, to Bruno Fernandes, who it seems we've been reporting this morning, says he doesn't want to move to Saudi Arabia at this stage of his career. How significant is that for United?
I mean, it's significant. I think that the money that was on the table was big, so I think that there was an element of this situation that meant that United getting that level of money for someone at Bruno's age, obviously you couldn't say that it would have been a bad deal, but on the other hand, Manchester United's star player, only player at times, for the last sort of 4, 5, 6 years has been Bruno Fernandes. He's the one player that I can point towards that's been a success out of the big signings that they've made. He's so important. He's the one player that has the personality and courage to take the ball in difficult situations. If he plays well, United have got half a chance of winning a game, and you saw in the Europa League final, when obviously he had one of his sort of more difficult games, that United were next to nothing in attack. So I think him staying at the club, Cunha coming in, does give them a couple of players with personality that might just make a difference next season, hopefully, because it was obviously a torrid season for them last year.
Does it feel significant that he said that he still wants to be there, firstly, for the draw of Manchester United, but also maybe that he has, we've talked about those above the manager, saved them a tricky decision as to whether to cash in or not, because he said, no, I want to stay, so the bid doesn't really matter?
Yeah, look, I don't think anybody has doubted his commitment to Manchester United over the last few years, Bruno Fernandes. He plays every single week. He hardly misses a game. He's consistent. His chances created, his goals, his assists have been sensational. And the fact that he wants to stay, the fact that he wants to sort of go through this and come out the other side, because it would have been easy for him at the end of this season to say, look, I'm done here. There will have been a huge amount of money on the table for him to go over to Saudi. But the fact that he's stayed, I think, will endear himself towards Manchester United fans even more. And even towards me. I mean, obviously, I'm a United fan, but the idea that to turn that money down and at a point where Manchester United are at their lowest ebb and say, no, I want to fight through this. I want to see it through the other side. I want to come out and, achieve things, I think says a lot about him as a person, as a character. And I think United fans will warm to that, because at this moment in time, the club needs people who are going to run through a brick wall for them. And I think the decision he's made this morning, or it feels like he's made this morning, I think that's something that will become apparent.
Just a final word then, Gary, before we let you go on the incomings and potential incomings. You mentioned Matheus Cunha and the personality he has. We're expecting an approach for Bryan Mbeumo at Brentford later in the week. Does a strategy of proven Premier League players, perhaps not quite at their peak just yet, seem smart from the club?
I think they need that. They need players who are going to come in and hit the ground running. And I said before, I mean, United has become a very difficult place for new signings to operate in the last 10 years. Cunha and Mbuemo have got obviously Premier League experience. They've got plenty of games under their belt. It's not new to them. And actually, they're the right type. When I watch Manchester United wide players, they have to be able to get from box to box quickly. They have to be able to run. They have to be able to travel with the ball and without the ball. And Mbuemo and, to be fair, Cunha can do that. They both run forward with real sort of intent and purpose. The couple of 2 or 3 players that are going to leave, they're more jinkers. They're players who, to be fair, play in smaller spaces. For anybody who's played at Old Trafford, even though the size of the pitch, maybe in terms of metrics, might not seem bigger, but it just feels a big pitch to play on. And the width is important. And I know that sort of Ruben Amorim has this system where he plays these 2 players in behind a striker. If those 2 players are Mbuemo and Cunha, then, to be fair, Manchester United will at least be able to travel quickly from deep positions into sort of attacking positions, because they can both run. They both sort of got real sort of direct way of playing. And Manchester United, I think it's important that they have that. And we know the likes of Sancho, Rashford, Anthony, and probably Garnacho are going to leave, so they need definitely players in those positions.